You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably, with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Somebody there?
Hello, and welcome to another journey into the unexplored, the unexplained Ecto Portal. I'm Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson.
And today we have an interesting show. We've talked about doing a show like this before. We have our other series of shows called True and Freaky Stories, where we kind of compile crazy sounding stories that happen around the world, and we've done 2 of those episodes, and we'll do another one in the future.
Sure.
But I was finding continually stories about these really weird coincidences, and I thought we really should do a show about coincidences.
Gee, Tony, I didn't know we were doing a story about our lives.
About a coincidence? Or true
Strange
and freaky?
and freaky coincidences?
No,
that
those are
explains
two-
our whole lives.
Your life is a true and freaky story.
It is.
Mine's just a coincidence.
Oh, okay.
But yes, this week's show is Amazing Coincidences, and that's what I'm gonna share a bunch of stories for you that are really odd coincidences.
And who knows, maybe they're not that weird.
Maybe not. Maybe not. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the paranormal news.
Okay, let's go for
Let's
it.
do it. And welcome back to another paranormal news. Now today I'm going to start off with, I guess you could call it a cryptid story.
A cryptid story.
Yeah, so, Zimbabwe cops
that kind of story.
At an
Okay.
abandoned police station, they abandoned their police station due to alleged goblin attacks. So a police station in Zimbabwe was abandoned after the cops refused to stay in the building because they said there were goblins tormenting them at all hours of the night. Now, according to a local media report, the bizarre case came in last month when officers in the community of Bulimia informed their superiors of the strange supernatural situation. We built a police station for the officers, and initially they patrolled in pairs. However, they haven't been able to stay for extended periods due to the persistent presences of pernicious entities. Specifically, the concerned cops explained they were being harassed by goblins in the form of physical attacks. So doors were opening on their own. Things were climbing on the roof to the point where they found it impossible to sleep in the building. And they said in a testament how, some of these entities are kind of taken seriously in Zimbabwe. They actually take them very, very seriously. The officer superiors said that they wouldn't endanger them any further and ordered the station be abandoned. And all attempts to find an alternative base for the police have proved unfruitful. And they have hoped that they can somehow convince the cops to come back into the goblin-haunted building. So imagine if you went to work and everyone at work said, "Oh, we can't work here anymore. There's too many goblins here. We hear them on the roof. They make too much noise. They open and close doors. They slam doors."
Mm-hmm.
So would you? Sorry, Vernon, you have to go home. We have to work from home because there's too many goblins. How would that go over with you?
Well, I've worked in haunted places before.
With goblins?
I wouldn't say it was goblins, but I've seen weird things happen in places I've worked before. And if it was that much, I would say get somebody who's good at easing spiritual energy or removing it. Because you and I know plenty of people who do things like that.
Can you imagine building a brand new police station and then all that happens and they have to abandon it?
But I mean, they must have traditions where they have priests
Bless the place,
to bless the place or
drive out
something,
negative energies.
or something before they get to that route.
How do we know it wasn't the Chupacabra?
Now, if my boss believed in, if my boss at the time, whoever that my boss would be, would believe in blessing the place, or believed that you can get somebody to come and drive and calm down the place, I would say call them first before you assign before you assign us to go elsewhere.
Who's to say it isn't some other weird animal though? Not really a goblin.
Well, but
maybe it's raccoons that are attacking the roof.
It could be, but they haven't. But if they can't find the animal, or they can't, and if it's in weird places where there's no animal but they hear it, like the corner of the wall, and you're next to the corner of the wall. Yeah. So
I don't know. I've never had a goblin sighting.
I'm just surprised that they didn't get somebody to come and bless the place, or
try it first.
Try it first.
Well, you heard they're trying to get them all to come back now, so maybe they've thought.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did.
Yeah, that's about all we know, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting, but but and on the other hand, it's good that they moved them before things got a little weird, because it's for their safety, and not only that, you and I know very well from the places we've been to that spirits follow you from places. Yep. And you don't want some spirit who's restless following you from another location.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. All right, what have you got?
Well, the one I have would probably upset some people, but they said that Scotland's. They said that there's that there's a town in Scotland that actually has the mummified head of Jesus.
What?
Yeah.
Sweet baby Jesus, his head is mummified?
Yeah. So
oh my God.
Sweet baby Jesus' head is mummified? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say a blessing. They said that it's a creepy village in Scotland.
And it's thought to be home to Jesus' mummified head.
Oh, I gotta hear more.
It's the village of Roslyn, and it's supposed to be a village in Scotland, and there's the Roslyn Chaplain there, and they
say what part of Scotland at all?
I don't know that village.
I'm not sure where Roslyn is.
It's a cute village. I'm looking at pictures of it. It's very cute.
Huh.
Yeah, but anyway, there's a village that said that they have Jesus' mummified head in there.
You got around.
It's 7 miles out of Edinburgh, and it's thought the village is thought to date back to the year 203, and it's believed to have been found by the Picts. And there's a lot of history, and there's the Roslyn Inn, which has been established in 1660, which is worth a visit if you want to find out more about the history. And however, the place where they talk about this is the Roslyn Chapel. And so they said that it's a 15th century chapel. It sits on a hill overlooking the village. And it's, they said that there's a lot of mysteries about the chapel. It's led a lot of scholars to believe that it has connections to Freemasonry and the Knights Templar. But according to legend, it has ties to Jesus Christ himself. And some suggest that the original crypt of the chapel, now sealed off, houses the mummified head of Christ.
So nobody knows for sure.
Nobody knows for sure.
Open that crypt up.
That's what I say.
Sweet baby Jesus, are you in there?
So they said that the Holy Grail, along with masses of treasure collected by Templar Knights, are also rumored to be hidden within the crypt. And there's even rumors that Scotland's original crown jewels are housed inside there.
Okay, I gotta say, for tourism, this is great. You could say everything. The Lindbergh baby is behind in that temple,
I would say, how do they know?
They don't know. That's
how do they know?
You sell more shit by saying it could be in there.
So anyway, not far away from the chapel, there's another historical structure shrouded in there, and it was built in the late 14th or early 15th century. It's called Roseland Castle, and Roseland Castle is thought to be haunted.
Ooh.
And one of the apparitions of the castle is the White Lady of the St. Clair clan, and it's believed to have been cursed. She's believed to have been cursed by an evil spell. She waits at the castle for her knight to come and rescue her to this very day.
Oh.
Probably there was a siege, and she was probably, Anyway, the abandoned village, and then nearby is the abandoned village of Lawyers in the rural Perthshire that also appears on the list. And some believe that Lawyers is still inhabited by the spirit of a 17th century seer known as the Lady of Lawyers.
Wow.
Who supposedly has made a lot of predictions over the years that have came true. So anyway.
So I guess you got a truck to Roslyn, knock on the door of the chapel and say, "Hey,
I'd
do you
like to
mind?
go anyway.
I brought a sledgehammer. Can we debunk all these rumors?
Can you open it up and have us take a peek?
Yeah, I want to see Jesus' head.
I want to see the crown jewels and all the other stuff.
Is Jesus' head wearing the crown jewels?
I don't want to see that head.
I do.
I don't.
Why? You could say you saw baby Jesus'
Well,
mummified
okay,
head.
I've been in the Rosicrucian Museum where I've seen mummies. What's the difference, right?
Well, what I want to know is, why did you just keep the mummified head? I mean,
why?
I have so many questions.
I don't get it.
I have so many questions, and they need to open that crypt so we can get a peek.
I bet you anything that people who work there just shake their head and just don't even. They
But
probably think.
Is Jesus' head in there? I don't know. Is the crown jewels of Scotland?
I don't know.
I'm sure that's all that's here. Buy some souvenirs now.
I'm sure the people of the village probably roll their eyes whenever they hear about it.
Yeah, but you want to buy my mummified baby Jesus head keychain?
That's gross, Tony.
I know, but they would do that, sell that kind of stuff. Well, if I'm going to Scotland next year.
Oh, why don't you stop
so
there?
If I have the ability to stop in Roseland,
yeah,
I'm going to ask about Jesus' head, and I'm going to record the conversation.
I want to hear.
Can play it on our show.
I want to see that.
All right, maybe I'll make a TikTok video and we can see people and I can show them what it is.
Sure.
You don't believe me?
No, I do believe you. No, I'm not saying sure.
Sure.
I said sure, like yes, that would be great. No,
Sure, I totally believe you. There's one thing about you.
When it comes to you, I believe it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I want to see what they would tell me if I asked.
I'm curious on what they're going to tell you too.
Yep. All right, folks, that's the paranormal news. And when we come right back, it'll be amazing coincidences. Isn't that a coincidence? It's
That's
coming up.
That's amazing. Okay.
All right. All right. Now, it's not just a coincidence. It's an amazing coincidences this week, folks. I'm going to share some stories with you about these coincidences, and we can talk about them as we hear each one.
Okay.
So the first one is called Died on the 4th of July. Did you know that 3 of the very first 5 U.S. presidents all died on July 4th? 2 of them died on the same day, July 4th, and within hours of each other. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on July 4th, 1826, which was also the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The 5th president, James Monroe, died exactly 5 years later on the 55th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So lesson learned here is be careful on the 4th of July if you're a former president. So
that's what you call a patriotic day to die.
Right. Okay. So the next one is called Twins That Are Living the Same Life. This one's actually pretty interesting. I was fascinated by this one.
Okay.
In 1940, a set of twin boys was adopted out by their mother by different unrelated families. Both of those families decided to name their child James, and throughout their lives went by the shorter nickname of Jim.
That's common.
Both of the boys grew up with pet dogs around them, named their dogs the same name, Toy.
Okay, now that's a little weird.
When they grew up and had employment, they amazingly both went into jobs in the security field, with one as a security guard and the other as a sheriff. Now, both of them married their first wives, and were both named Linda.
Oh, that's interesting.
They both divorced and married again, and this time they both married a woman with the same name of Betty.
Holy moly.
As if this wasn't strange enough, both had a son, and they named him James and gave both the same middle name of Allen.
James Allen.
They never met one another until 1979 when they both were 39 years old. The only prior knowledge they had of each other is that they were each had a twin brother, and that was it.
Okay, yeah, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. It's almost like
you could believe one or two of those things. The James is a pretty common name.
It's almost like they were on the telephone with each other and saying, "So, what are you going to name your dog?"
Toy.
Toy. Oh, that sounds cute. I'll name my dog that too.
I named my kid Alan for his middle name. Oh, I'll use that too.
Or he peeked in the baptismal record. Oh, his name was Alan. Oh, yeah, I think I'll name my kid Alan too.
Yeah, that's just weird. That's a lot.
That's
Both
a lot.
wives named the same. Yeah.
Now, here's my question. How did they find out that they all had the same? How did they find all this out?
Well, they met up with each other and they found out they were related.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
That's
Hello.
That's a good.
Duh.
That's a good. Wait, do that again.
Doi.
Yeah, I know, right? So, anyway, our next coincidence is a well-traveled balloon. So do you remember that short French movie, the
Red Balloon? Yeah, that described my face when I had an allergy. Sure.
Can you imagine Verna's face with a string hanging off?
Hey, I felt like the red balloon after an allergy once where it blew up my face.
Oh my God.
Oh, I had to go to urgent care for that.
Raspberry. You're turning raspberry.
Oh no, it was horrible.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to move on.
Okay.
Okay. The well-traveled balloon. Now, in Staffordshire, England, in 2001, a young girl inflated a helium balloon and tied a note to it that read, "Please return to Laura Buxton." And she also scribbled down her address, and she let the balloon rise up and disappear.
Who's going to return a frickin' balloon?
Can you let me finish?
Okay.
Let the balloon disappear, thinking that would be the last she would ever hear of it. Now, the balloon carried on its journey and ended up traveling over 140 miles and landed in Wiltshire on a farm, where a farmer found it. He recognized the name of the girl on the note. The farmer has a neighbor who had a daughter named Laura Buxton. He went, visited the family, and brought along this traveled balloon and showed this Laura the note, which had the other Laura's address written. The parents of both Lauras arranged to have their daughters meet, and when they did, they discovered they were also the same age, had a dog that was a black Labrador, a rabbit, and both had a guinea pig.
Here we go again, a dog named Toy.
Well, it doesn't say the dog.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I think his dog name was Verna. Don't go get your cat riled. Yeah. That's pretty weird. That one almost sounds made up.
Okay, that one's weird.
Doesn't that sound made up though?
That sounds a little
made up.
Made up, yeah. But those those small communities.
You never know. Weird stuff happens.
Weird shit happens in those small communities. Yeah. But think about it. If you saw a darn balloon,
yeah,
and you saw an address and a name, are you going to return it, or you're just going to take a pin and pop it?
No, well, no. If I saw the name I recognized locally, and I knew they had a kid named Laura, I would go over to their house and say, "Look what I found. This is weird."
Yeah, I would return it, but most people wouldn't return a darn balloon.
Well, I don't think they returned the balloon so much as the note, but yeah, maybe they did. I don't know. I wasn't there, Verna.
I'm just saying, okay.
I'm not hanging out in farms.
You might if it's an old historical farm and
it's haunted.
It's haunted. I can see you hanging out in the farm.
Haunted farm? Yeah. It's like, excuse me.
What does Dr. Laura have
to do with any of this?
Dr. Laura? Oh, that was the name on the balloon.
Oh. I thought you said...
What have you done with Verna?
I don't... You know what? Never mind.
All right, let's move on.
Just never mind.
The next story is Mark Twain's Comet.
Ah.
So amazing coincidence can even surround the famous author Mark Twain,
Well, I'm not surprised about him.
Who was born in 1835 when Halley's Comet passed the Earth, and only does so once every 76 years. Now, the comet appeared in 1910, the very same year that Twain died, and he died the same day the comet was at its brightest next to the Earth. Ironically, 1 year before he died, Twain said in 1909, "The Almighty has said, no doubt. Now here are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together, they must go out together." And they did.
That, that sounds like, that is exactly like something he would say.
All right. That one I believe.
And it also kind of, it goes along with the spoken word. You know how the law of attraction, people say, what you put out there is what you're going to get back and all that?
Yep.
Well, good example, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The next one is the Titanic predictions.
Oh, here we go. Titanic.
Yep. Oh, I love my Titanic.
Uh-huh.
So just 14 years before the epic ship Titanic set off on her maiden voyage, doomed to be her last, in 1898, Morgan Robertson wrote a short novella called Futility. This book was about an unsinkable ocean liner that did in fact sink on an April night, and it hit an iceberg as well. Now, what's even more odd is the novella has a subtitle called The Wreck of the Titan. So in the book, the ship is called Titan. In real life, the ship was called Titanic. In the book of the 2,500 passengers, only 13 survived. But on the Titanic, 7 of the 2,200 survived. 700 of the 2,200 survived. So that's interesting.
That is interesting, but I'm not surprised about that. And here's the reason why.
Why?
Because when you're writing and you're actually thinking of a fiction story, a lot of the time a writer will pick up something, and it'll be something, and they don't know where it comes from. But there's been writers who's predicted and thought of things that actually did happen later in life. He wouldn't have been the first writer.
No.
Where he came up with something and then it actually happened later, later in life. And
we got to admit, in that period of the 19th century, shipwrecks, sinkings was much more common.
Yeah.
So imagining that could happen wasn't such an unimaginable thing.
Right. That's true too.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, escaping a deadly fate. Speaking of the Titanic, there was a woman named Violet Jessup who survived not one, not two, but 3 nautical disasters. She was a ship stewardess on the Olympic, and it collided with the HMS Hawk. The Olympic did receive quite a bit of damage, but did not succumb to the depths, and Jessup survived. In 1912, she was also on board the Titanic, and managed to be one of the survivors who escaped in a lifeboat. Afterwards, amazingly enough, Jessup took a job as a nurse aboard the Britannic, Titanic's sister ship, which was converted to a hospital during World War I. After a large explosion from an underwater mine, the ship sank in less than an hour. Jessup again made it to a lifeboat, but as soon as the boat hit the water, all the other passengers dived out of the boat, leaving Jessup alone, who ironically could not swim, as the Britannic's giant propellers were pulling them in.
Ew, that's scary.
She did finally jump over as well, and her life jacket saved her life, and she eventually died at age 84.
Oof.
Can you imagine surviving all 3 of those?
I probably would have wanted to find another occupation.
Yeah, I would not get on a boat again.
It's like
you're destined to die
enough.
on a boat.
That, to me, that's enough.
Yeah. Here's another famous author one. You get what you eat, what you read.
Oh, okay.
Author Edgar Allan Poe wrote a novel called The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. The story is about a ship's crew that ends up with their boat damaged, supplies being sparse. They ended up drawing straws so they could decide who among them will sacrifice themselves for the survival meal for the group. Ugh, cannibalism.
Yuck.
The character in the novel who drew the death straw was Richard Parker. 2 of the characters were rescued due to this heroic cannibalism. They also had eaten a tortoise beforehand. Now move forward 30 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
On a real yacht named the Mignette that sank in a bad storm in the Indian Ocean, 4 men escaped in a dinghy, clutching for their lives with no food or water. just like in Poe's book, they ate a tortoise, and they also, like the book, ate one of their own in order to survive.
Oh,
and
man.
The name of the lucky buffet, Richard Parker.
Oh,
the same guy's name as his character in the book.
Poor Richard Parker.
The real one or the book?
Both. The real one, of course.
Yeah, he was lunch and dinner. And
man, poor guy.
hey, they drew straws.
He probably was hungry too.
Yeah, but
he was the meal.
That's
sad.
You draw the straw, you're the meal.
Man, that is such a sad ending.
Right. Okay. So this one's the Hoover Dam victims. Now, the construction of the Hoover Dam took place between 1931 and 1936, and it claimed the lives of 112 workers in various accidents. Now, the first worker to die during the construction was J.G. Tierney, I wonder if it's a relative, who drowned on December 20th, 1922. In a chilling twist of fate, the last worker to die during the project was J.G. Tierney's son, Patrick Tierney, who also died on December 20, 13 years later in 1935.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Sounds like sacrifices to the dam, doesn't it?
That's like really, ooh.
Next one is the cab driver in the wheelchair.
Oh boy.
In 2008, a British cab driver named Tom Burchell saved the life of a wheelchair-bound woman who had fallen onto a train track. 1 year later, Tom was halted a hero once again when he saved another woman who had fallen onto the tracks, and unbelievably, it was the same woman he'd saved previously.
Jeez, he probably tell her, can you be careful now? From now
Can you
on,
stay
lady?
away from the train tracks? Now, this extraordinary coincidence demonstrated Tom's incredible luck and quick thinking, as well as the power of fate in bringing people together. This next story is a double. King Umberto's double.
King Umberto.
So in 1900, King Umberto I of Italy visited a restaurant where he was astonished to find the owner was his exact double. The two men discovered numerous similarities between their lives. They were both born on the same day in the same town. Both had married women named Margarita, and both had sons named Vittorio. And in a tragic twist, the restaurant owner was killed in a shooting accident on July 29th, 1900. The same day, King Umberto I was assassinated by an anarchist.
That's ugly.
Isn't that weird, though? Same town, same day.
Well, I've had for a while people tell me that I had a double around town.
Really?
Yeah, people would come up to me and say, "Hi, so and so," and I would look at them and say,
Who are you?
"I'm not so and so."
Yeah, what?
They said, and then the second person I told that to said, "Did you know that your double is walking around town? Because there's a woman who looks just like you, and she's walking around town." And I said, "Well, tell her hi for me."
Tell her she owes me money. That's what I would say.
I never ran across her, but for a couple years, people were saying that to me.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Ugh, I don't know what I'd do if I found that double of myself.
If I walked up to your double and say, "So are we going to record today?" and he gives me a weird look, I'll say, "Oh, you're not him, okay."
Get away from me, lady. You're weird.
He probably would. Yeah, probably. Get away. You're weird. Yeah.
You'd be like,
"Hey, lady, get away from me. I don't even know who you are. I don't even recognize you, girl."
I'll say, well, you're not.
Tony, because you're rude.
What was that?
You're rude.
totally rude. Yeah, it'd be kind of creepy, though.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is the bullet in the grave.
Okay.
In 1914, a French soldier named Henry Ziegland narrowly avoided death when a bullet fired by his ex-girlfriend's brother grazed his face and lodged in a tree. The brother, believing he had killed Ziegland, took his own life. And in 1920, Ziegland decided to remove the tree from his property and used dynamite to do so. The explosion dislodged the bullet from the tree, which struck and killed Ziegland in a bizarre, delayed act of fate.
Geez, that's what happens when you don't use an axe.
Right? That's messed up.
That's real messed up.
Okay, so this next one is Something Burrows, Something Found. While preparing for his role in the film adaptation of the novel The Girl from Petrovka, actor Anthony Hopkins searched London bookshops for a copy of the book, but was unable to find one. In a strange twist of fate, he found a copy of the novel abandoned on a bench in a train station. allowing him to study the story before filming. Now, later, while discussing the film with the book's author, George Pfeiffer, Hopkins discovered that the copy he had found was Pfeiffer's personal annotated copy, which had been lost years before. How weird
Oh,
is
that is crazy. Wow.
Like, give me back my book, by the way.
Yeah, really.
My notes are in there.
Jeez.
That's wild.
That is
I'd be
wild.
like, can you just sign it and let me keep it?
Really? No kidding, huh?
Yep. And our last one is False Teeth Savior. In 2009, a Croatian named Ivan Lebedev was nearly killed when a stray bullet entered his home and struck him while he was brushing his teeth.
Ew.
Miraculously, the bullet became lodged in his false teeth, saving his life.
Jeez.
Now, astonishingly, just 2 years later, Lebedev experienced another brush with death when a stray bullet struck him in the same spot, only to be stopped once again by his false teeth.
Holy moly, those false teeth are...
I'd move.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'd move. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would want to get out of the area.
And
yeah.
maybe, I don't know, maybe keep wearing the false teeth. It's obviously doing him well.
Obviously, but it's twice? Jeez.
Yeah, I would move. I'm like, if the bullets are coming in my bathroom twice.
It's like, okay, it's time to find a safer place to live.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the country. Go to a farm that's haunted.
Something.
Go to Roslyn in Scotland.
Go to Roslyn in Scotland.
And ask him to see Jesus' mummified head.
That's what you would ask.
You know I'm going to ask. If I ever go there, I'll be like, why of all the things does he want to see Jesus' mummified head?
I know you're going to ask that.
If I'm there, but it's only 7 miles from Edinburgh, so I won't be able to go probably because it's going to be too far out.
You never know.
You never know. You know I'm going to ask if I'm ever there. Where's the chapel?
It's a famous chapel there. You'll find it.
Yep, exactly. Oh, wait. I think I've been there.
You have? Wait a minute. What is this? You've been there?
I've been there, and I just realized I've been there.
Really?
And I went down into the crypts, and there are some that are sealed off. You can't get in there.
Oh,
I didn't even realize
have been
it.
there.
I
So
have.
it's not like some weird place you haven't been to. You've been there.
No, with our friends. We went, we drove out.
But now you have more knowledge about it.
I even did EVP work in the crypts.
And did you get anything?
No, I got nothing. They told us to stay out of them. They said, don't take pictures. So I went in there, and I went into one of them. I took pictures, and I did
Of course
EVP,
you did.
and did
Of
all my whole
course.
stuff.
Of course.
But yeah, I just remembered. It's a very famous one. Very famous.
Now you tell us.
Isn't that funny that you mentioned that? Because I'm like, wait a minute, Rosalind, we went to oh my God.
Well, now you got to go back.
I even bought a book about it while I was in the gift shop.
And of course, we're not going to talk about it in the book.
Well, I don't know how I know. Had I known in hindsight that Jesus' mummified head was in one of those
I know.
vaults,
You.
I would have asked somebody.
Of course, you would have.
And they wouldn't like, could you get away from me, please?
They would probably just either
Security.
that. I can almost bet the villagers probably say,
Oh yeah.
they probably say, we've heard that for
they
years.
think it's BS, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But they were very dignified in there. They were having a kids concert or something, so they, setting up and.
So they probably wanted the tourists to get their little.
It was crowded. There was a lot of people there.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of tourists.
Oh.
It's way out in the middle of the.
I'm sure it's a cute village.
Yeah, it's way out in the middle of nowhere though.
Oh.
It's very hot there too.
Oh wow.
All right, there we go. See, Verna helped me discover a memory.
I did.
related
I did.
to your show.
I gave him a good reason to go back.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go back.
You wouldn't go back?
They're not going to break through the wall and show me Jesus' head. Why would I go back? And I didn't get any.
Because you have more knowledge about it
and
now.
I didn't get any EVP, so
Okay.
And it was too crowded. You couldn't do anything. There's too many people there.
You should go back.
I'm not going out of my way, trust me. Unless it's part of a tour, and then I would go back.
If I were in Scotland, I'd go with you.
Well, you'd have to be on the tour then, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. There you go, folks. Amazing coincidences for this week. And until we come up with another batch of amazing coincidences, we might. You never know.
You know we're going to.
Or more true and freaky stories. I like those too.
Oh, I like those.
All right. So until next week, folks, we'll say goodbye.
Bye. See you next week.
Portal.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden.
Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.